Hello, everybody. I'm Miss Shelley. I work here at MVES, good old Mount Vernon Elementary, and I'm going to read to you today one of my favorite books for the season called The Night of Las Posadas. Las Posadas was a story written by Tomie dePaola, who's a very famous author and illustrator, and he has several books on the shelves here at Mount Vernon Elementary. Let me read to you first his introduction. No pictures here. Las Posadas is an old Spanish custom which celebrates Mary and Joseph seeking shelter in Bethlehem on Christmas Eve. Posadas comes from the Spanish word meaning inn. It began in Spain and came to the New World, first to Mexico and then to the American Southwest. In Santa Fe, New Mexico, where Tomie dePaola sets his story, farolitos, or lanterns made of candles, as they are called in New Mexico, line the edges of the plaza in the historical district of the city. These candles, placed in special paper bags, light the way for Mary and Joseph, the procession of candle bearers, and others singing traditional Spanish songs. Along the way, a couple representing Mary and Joseph, or in this story, they're known by their Spanish names, Maria and Jose, knock on doors, 5 in all. Each time a devil appears and tries to keep them out of the inn. Everyone gathered in the plaza boos the devil, and the procession moves around the plaza until they reach the Palace of Governors. There, the gates are thrown open to a courtyard where everyone gathers and celebrates the coming of the baby Jesus. So I'm going to begin his story now. The Night of Las Posadas. In a little village high among the mountains in Santa Fe, New Mexico, preparations for Las Posadas had been going on for weeks. Sister Angie was so proud. Her niece Lupe and her nephew Robert and her niece's new husband Roberto had been chosen to portray Maria and Jose, Mary and Joseph. Sister Angie had been in charge of Las Posadas for years. It was she who trained the singers as they made their way around the plaza, singing old Spanish songs, finally into the courtyard of the Palace of Governors, where an empty manger waited for the birth of the Holy Child. Now, said Sister Angie, speaking to the devils, here's a picture of what your faces are going to need to look like. She wanted to make sure they knew how to paint their faces and that their red satin costumes were just right. The devil would snarl and hiss as he tried to keep Maria and Jose from finding shelter. The plaza was so big that 2 devils were needed to rush from balcony to balcony without being seen by the crowd. Let me show you the pictures for this section one more time. Sister Angie always made the costumes for Maria and Jose herself. Blue and white for Maria, brown for Jose. Stand still, she told Roberto. Lupe, I hope he isn't as fidgety at home. Oh no, Tia Angie. He's just nervous about being Jose. Oh well, Sister Angie said. Let's go to the church and look at a carving of Maria and Jose. 50 years ago, as a sister, I'm so sorry, guys. I got lost, which is what happens sometimes when you're reading out loud. Miguel, a famous carver, had made a beautiful carving of Maria and Jose for the Golden Jubilee of Sister Angie the year before. 50 years as a sister. Father Vasquez had put the carving in a place of honor in the church, and as Christmas drew near, it was moved to the altar rail. They stood looking up at Maria and Jose on their way to Bethlehem. Just think of the carving and try to look like them, Sister Angie told them. I will, promised Roberto. At least we don't have to worry about a burro. Las Posadas no longer included a burro in the procession. Mary and Jose walked. The burro had only caused problems, so they stopped using one years ago. And can you see the special carving? Finally, it was the night of Las Posadas. and Sister Angie came down with the flu. There's no way you can go out tonight, the doctor told her. They will just have to get along without you this year. For the first time in 50 years, Sister Angie would not be at Las Posadas. Don't worry, Tia, Lupe told her. We will make you proud this evening. Well, it looks as if it'll be a white Christmas, said one of the men in the streets leading to the plaza. Snow is on the way. Even as he spoke, flakes drifted down. But a little snow never stops Las Posadas. Up high in the mountains of the village, the singers, the candle bearers, and the devils piled into their cars. They wanted to get down the mountain before the snow, which was beginning to fall heavily. Sister Angie looked out of her window, and yes, she wiped away a tear as she saw Roberto's old pickup pull outside. Lupe and Roberto got out and rang the doorbell. They wanted Sister Angie to see them in their costumes. Ah, Maria and Jose, you look wonderful. If I had my way, I'd offer you shelter right here. Now, give me a kiss and be off. Roberto and Lupe were the last to leave the village because of their last-minute stop at Sister Angie's. Roberto's pickup had been acting up lately, and the deep snow didn't help. A sudden skid into a snowbank, and the motor died. What will we do? I'll walk ahead to see if I can get some help, Roberto told Lupe. Wrap up, and I'll be back before you know it. Meanwhile, down in town, everyone had gathered. The snow had tapered off and was falling gently. The farolitos were lit, and the plaza looked magical. Where are Lupe and Roberto? Father Vasquez asked. It's almost time to start. The guitars were tuned, the singers were ready, and even the devils were ready, but no Roberto and Lupe. And everyone knows you can't have Las Posadas without Maria and Jose. Suddenly, down the street came a young couple. The man was leading a burro, a woman carrying a young woman. We are friends of Sister Angie, the man said. Roberto and Lupe are stuck in the snow on the mountain road, so we've come to take their place. We know what to do, and we thought our burro could be in the procession too. My wife is going to have a baby, and it would be better for her to ride. Well, let's go then, Father Vasquez. The candlebearers led the way, followed by Maria and Jose. The musicians followed, and then came the singers. Out into the plaza they went. Everyone knew their part, including the burro. They stopped at the first door. Oh, let the holy couple come in. Give them shelter. Let Maria rest so the holy child can be born. Jose knocked with his staff, and Maria looked down from the burro and smiled sweetly. But then the devil appeared. No, no, don't let them in. Look at them, how poor, how wretched. They have no money. The crowd booed and shouted at the devil. The procession moved on, knocking on one door after another. Sometimes the devil popped out at them and the crowd booed even louder. And sometimes they knocked and no one answered. So can you see the procession with Maria and Jose and the devils at the top of the balcony? It was one of the most beautiful Las Posadas ever held. Even the young woman playing Maria, who was about to be a mother, was just like the mother of the Holy Child. Perfect. They reached the gates in the courtyard, and once more they sang, asking to be let in. This time, no devil. The gates opened wide, the bonfire blazed, and everyone rushed in. A little pushing and shoving, but that was all right. Everyone wanted to be near the manger. Well, you certainly saved Las Posadas, Father Vasquez said, turning to thank the young couple who had taken Lupe and Roberto's place. but they were nowhere to be seen. Maybe they didn't know where to sit. Maybe they didn't know that they were to sit in the special place near the empty manger. So you can see Father Vasquez, he has a puzzled look on his face. Father Vasquez, we're so sorry to be late. It was Lupe and Roberto calling out as they rushed into the courtyard. Did we ruin everything? No, no, Father Vasquez said. Sister Angie's friends were here. They led the procession, but now I can't find them. Go quickly, sit by the manger. What friends? Lupe whispered to Roberto. In the meantime, Sister Angie woke with a start. She knew that at this time Las Posadas would be over. The villagers would be back in an hour or two. I hope Lupe and Roberto did well, she thought. Sister Angie was feeling so much better. She looked out the window, and the snow had almost stopped. Drifts covered the rooftops and the streets below. Oh, I'll just go over to the church and light a candle, she said to herself. She bundled up and put the key in her pocket. Sister Angie crossed the street and stood in front of the church. Footprints in the snow on the steps led up to the door. Well, she didn't think too much of it. Maybe some tourists. So they came at all hours, expecting the church to be open. So it's hard to see, but the footprints are just going to the door. They're not leading away from the door. Inside the church was dark, except for the candle burning in front of the Blessed Sacrament. I'll light a candle in front of the carving, she said. She took an unlit candle and struck a match. The candle flared up and settled into a steady glow. Sister Angie knelt down, placed her candle at the altar, and said a prayer. Sister Angie opened her eyes, and there in front of her, she saw wet footprints leading up to the carving. And the cloaks of Maria and Jose were covered in fresh snow. And boys and girls, that is the end, and anybody else watching, of the Night of Las Posadas. Can you see what Tomie dePaola was trying to do there? Think about a mysterious Maria and Jose showing up and fresh snow on a wooden carving. Thank you for listening.